Okay, I'm at 3812 Ninebark Pl in Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a front clean out in the flower bed. I'll leave it exposed. I had to dig it up a little bit, but we will show you. Here is the access. It is just to the right of the front door here. And now, in most cases, this is going to have a sweep on it, which means I won't be able to inspect going back into the house. I will only be able to inspect going out, and that is the case. You'll see how, if you look straight down, you can see it looks like the pipe, and it turns, and it only allows me to go out towards the street. And so what we'll do is I'll probably have to run some water here, but I'll only be able to inspect going out towards the street. I won't be able to inspect the stuff inside the house. So it's pretty normal on a house this age and this pipe material that it limits. It has a sweep on it, and it only allows you to go out towards the street. And so it doesn't want to. It keeps wanting to turn around on itself here. And that's something fairly normal too. So we're going to try to get it to go, but for some reason it wants to catch. And this is frustratingly common too, where because of because of it being cast iron, it's rough. So I did get it to go downstream, but I'm going to have to pull back a little bit, and then I'm going to go pause the video for a second. I'm going to run some water, and that way we can rinse off that camera head. Okay, I've got some water running on the kitchen or bathroom sink, excuse me. That's just to make sure we can clean off the camera and see if we can push that. That's a little piece that came off. I had to chisel out the cap because of it's real brittle, and it wouldn't come out with the pipe wrench or with an impact. And so what we'll do here is I'll just run some water and let it go. So this looks like this is it's cast iron in the house, but this looks like we have let me see if we can get that off. Concrete pipe, which is pretty good for this. It almost looks like a liner actually, but I can kind of see exposed aggregate on the bottom, so it does look like concrete, since you can see the seams here. So this is concrete. Looks like I can't. It kind of looks like there may be some damage here on the right and the left. Kind of a weird situation there at 22 feet. So we're going to go ahead and continue on out, because the weird thing is there's nothing getting into it. There's no root intrusion, there's no dirt, and so it doesn't have any signs of being open to the outside. So it may just be an optical illusion, but as we go out we'll take a little bit better look at it. And here's another one. This is another hub that looks like it's broken down. You can see the rubber, but another weird situation where there's nothing coming through. So it looks like these connections have been broken down. I don't know, something's eaten away the concrete, but there's obviously some holes there and some damage at these connections. So here's one at 32 feet. And we'll continue out, and then we'll take another note of it as we go back. But And there's another one. Looks like all of these connections, I don't know if they were installed wrong or installed bad, but looks like, you know, there's some wear away. You don't really see this too often with concrete like this. We have a lot of, and then we have a bunch of root intrusion here where this goes into back, you know, into a clay line. This would have been probably just off the property. A little more. So I think this is probably going to be a good candidate for lining. You have the root intrusion, which in and of itself would be serviceable. You would just do some maintenance on it to clean the roots out and then continue on. But it looks like the other stuff up towards the house that we just mentioned, it looks like there's some breaks and the joints are breaking down. So some roots here. So it's pretty normal to have root intrusion on old clay lines like this. And in and of itself, like I said, you can do maintenance on this, have it cleaned, and it's not an issue. But because of the breaks at the hubs on the concrete area, because the clay looks pretty good. And this is all in really good shape. And here we are at the main. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of strange. The line itself is, you know, holding shape well. You just have some roots that are concerning, well, you have some roots in the clay that aren't really concerning as far as the overall health of the pipe, but you have those hubs back in that other, in the first section of the pipe that I think are causing, you know, they're deteriorated enough to where they can cause some issues, and what I'm going to recommend on those is that possibly a lining or replacement. A lot of people, you could have it lined because the line itself is in good shape, it's like, meaning it's holding shape, and so it would be a good candidate because of the fact that the pipe is in good shape as far as it's keeping its shape. There's not, you know, it's not broken down and falling in, and so you've got to that point where it's deteriorating, but not to the point where you couldn't you couldn't line it and it would just keep the roots out and basically keep that those connections from falling in. So we have roots here at 56 feet. You can see it pretty heavily. Again, those can be maintained, but if you end up lining it, you would just go ahead and line the whole length. There's another big root ball here at about 52 feet, I guess. And so those are really the worst spots. I'm trying to keep my camera lens clean here. 40 and 48. So this is the transition to the clay. From looks like concrete, but this very well could be some Orangeburg, which is like a paper, kind of a paper material, but it looks like concrete. But you can see how these are breaking down. I thought I saw some. This may be that old Orangeburg stuff with the rubber coating. It's just usually it's darker than this. It's usually almost black. And so we got just trying to take a look at this here. Because you can see it exposing those rubber grommets, but based off of the material I thought it was concrete up front, but this may be some old Orangeburg, just a weird shade. But you can see how it's deteriorating around those rubber grommets. I don't see any root intrusion yet, which is surprising. Because of the fact that it is open, you can see, you know, those you can see the rubber grommets. We got 31 feet, but I mean, it looks like every one of these, and this one's looking pretty bad. It's starting to allow some roots in. And so I believe this is some of that Orangeburg stuff. You don't see this very often. It's basically like a paper material. They thought it was going to be like a PVC, but it was after World War II they used it. And the reason it's called Orangeburg is because it came out of Orangeburg, New Jersey. And but it was like a paper product that they pushed together, and they thought it was going to be, you know, because of the steel shortages and metal shortages, that they came up with this as a new way to make pipe out of. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of it left. I mean, I am very surprised that it's not allowing any root intrusion except for that one spot. But originally, like I said, I thought it was concrete just because of how much, because that's what it looks like, the shade and everything. It looked like it was some exposed aggregate, but I believe this is Orangeburg. And so as we come back into this cast iron, I'm going to pause the video for a minute here because this is the first junction, I'm going to run some more water and see if we can just push that little chunk down that fell off at the cap, because the cap was real brittle and it basically broke apart when I tried to open it. And so most of it I was able to get out, but there was that little piece that fell down in there. So it won't cause an issue, but we're going to run some water and try to witness it, and I'll try to push it on out to the main. So I'm going to pause the video and go run some more water. Okay. See, so it looks like it's already taken that down the pipe. No longer in here, so I'll go ahead and push out and see make sure that it got taken all the way out to the main. Yeah, that joint is probably the worst here at 31. The good news is that piece of metal in the cap made its way all the way down the line, so it might have got grabbed by one of these sections of roots, but we'll see. It's a pretty small piece, so I would expect this next one to be the one if it got caught. No, it made it through here too. So I flushed the toilets a couple times, and those usually give you a big rush of water and take stuff all the way out, and that looks like what we've done. So we're going all the way back through the line one more time, but I just wanted to make sure that that little piece of metal. Oh, and there it is. So that's good. We are basically all the way down to the main. There it is. So that has been carried all the way out to the main, so that's good. We got that out of there. Oh, there it is right there, actually. Must have caught on the edge. But now it will be in the main. Here we go. So, good news. We got that out of there. Now it's in that big pipe, so it's not going to be an issue at all. And it wouldn't have been in here either way, but still just want to make sure it's not resting in the smaller diameter pipe here. So. But basically overall the line is keeping its shape, but it is obviously deteriorating in multiple locations. Right at the hubs it's breaking down, and it's a good thing it was caught now, because the amount of breakdown that we have there is getting close to, if it gets much further, obviously the tree roots are going to start getting in even worse and just breaking that pipe to nothing. But and then one thing I want to note is the inside, because we were unable to inspect it. It is cast iron. Cast iron's not bad, but it does rust, so it gets real rough on the inside of the pipe. And so I always want to mention that on those cast iron lines, you want to try to avoid using any kind of wet wipes. There's only a few feet before the bathroom, but you want to avoid, wet wipes, paper towels, feminine products. As long as you only use toilet paper, it's usually fine. It's just cast iron's known for having more soft clogs, meaning like if you use too much toilet paper or you use something you shouldn't, it kind of can catch on that rust and just stuff can back up behind it. And wet wipes don't break down like toilet paper. Toilet paper is designed to do that so that it doesn't clog up, or if it does, it sits in water long enough and it deteriorates to nothing. But I always like to make those warnings with cast iron so that people realize, even if they say flushable, they're not. And if you're going to use them, just throw them in the trash. Don't throw them down the toilet. But to sum everything up, the line is holding shape well, so it is a good candidate for lining, but the connections at like 31, 33, I think 20 feet, 40 feet, those areas, there's joints that are breaking down, and I think this is the old Orangeburg pipe, which isn't very common, and that's why, because a lot of it's broken down and been replaced by now. So you could either replace it or line it, but because of the structure of it, it might be about the same price to do either one, but because of what's going on and breaking down at those joints, I do recommend that some service be done. So would recommend contacting a licensed plumber for their evaluation and quote of repair. But overall, I think it's going to need some service one way or another before. It's a good thing it was caught now, because this would probably start causing issues very soon. And if you were to try to go and clean this line, it would just probably tear it apart too. So, but that's why we do these. So that's going to end the inspection at 3812 Ninebark Place in Dayton, Ohio.